Hello and welcome to Bud's RPG Review, where I give my thoughts on role-playing games, card games and board games. Today's review is Lamentations of the Flame Princess, Weird Fantasy Role-Playing, for OSR by Lamentations of the Flame Princess. Okay, first a bit of history. First released in 2009, Lamentations of the Flame Princess is a 168-page small format hardback book that focuses on a dark, retrograde system with an atmosphere of the supernatural being strange and rare. It uses the OSR rule set as a base of play and has been described as a lean B/X system. The book is rated 18 as it contains explicit content. Right to the cover. Here we have a frankly beautiful piece by Cynthia Shepherd that in all honesty doesn't really tell me anything. Is this the Flame Princess? Okay, to the inside. As explained earlier, this book is rated 18+, so stop now if you're easily offended. The first thing we are greeted with is price lists, the kind you usually find in your typical fantasy setting, and we move past the table of content and onto the first section, character creation. Stats are rolled in a fairly standard manner with modifiers you would expect to see, as are the hit points. It's worth pointing out that only fighters get a +2 attack bonus at level 1 and an additional +1 at each level thereafter. We have some discussion on their 3 alignments, lawful, chaotic and neutral, and the alignments don't show a particular affinity towards evil or good. All clerics must be lawful and elves and magic users must be chaotic. It stresses that those that are touched by magic are chaotic, and not many who are wish that they were not. It then goes through the usual steps of starting money and possessions, through the eternal dilemma of choosing a name, and then straight into the classes with cleric. Clerics receive spells of levels 1 to 7, and roughly follow what you would expect them to in terms of hit points, etc. Fighters begin with the best combat abilities of all of the classes, and is the only one who improves these as they go up in level. Magic users differ greatly from what you may be accustomed to in OSR, most notably in their spell selections. More on that later. They are seekers of power and knowledge that consider no price too much to pay. They can cast spells from level 1 to 9. We then have the specialist. These are essentially skill-based explorers that gain points that they can allocate to skills and can make sneak attacks. After this we have the Dwarf. They're a dying race that were once the most powerful people on the planet. This decline has left them spiritually shattered. They live a joyless life of work that numbs their brain and they don't even breathe anymore. This, however, is a generalisation. As with most things, there are exceptions to the rule, and there are those dwarves that strike out into the world to live and are often the type that become adventurers. In most other ways, they're exactly the dwarves you would expect to see. And then we have the elf. Their civilization has fallen into decline, but they are accepting of this fate with grace. Some see mankind as their natural successor. They are magical creatures that are also trained as fighters. We also have halflings. They are generally a happy and contented people that usually live up to the stereotypes associated with their race. Halfling adventurers are those that have left their homelands in search of adventure and fortune. After this section we have some equipment lists which are generally standard fare for a fantasy setting, and then it moves on to the rules of the game. It's in alphabetical order and starts with architecture, climbing and doors, and gives basic roll that needs to be rolled to achieve a relevant action. It has some discussions on experience points and levelling up, foraging and hunting and even getting lost. Of particular note here is the rules on damage. At 0 hit points the character is helpless, and at -3 they are mortally wounded and will die in D10 minutes. No healing, magic or otherwise can prevent this. At -4, death is instant, no exceptions. There are straightforward rules to cover the likes of falling, poison, starvation and even sleep deprivation. It covers healing, which is fairly slow. Languages are based on cultural similarities. Ones that share a common ancestry are easier to understand amongst one another when compared to more exotic languages. It has straightforward rules for movement and encumbrance and also covers all of the thief type skills such as searching and stealth. In this game a round is 6 seconds long and a turn is 10 minutes long, whereas a segment is 1 second long. Finally it covers tinkering and traps. I have to say, I feel that the rules have a lean ruthlessness to them. The book then completely shifts and goes into rules around maritime adventures. This includes in-game stats for various vessels and rules for water conditions, crew and encounters at sea, and how to deal with waterborne chases and combat as well as damage to vessels. It has the stats for various weapons and also rules for boarding vessels. Following this we have some notes and fees for the various retainers you can pick up, including alchemists, physicians and even slaves. It also gives information on what exactly having these people around will give you. Hiring retainers is covered, as well as how loyal they will be to you. There's a section on property and finance which talks about how to manage property, including upkeep costs and taxes, and it even covers bankruptcy. After this we have encounters. Here it details all the rules for fighting, spellcasting and movement. It covers the likes of holy water and oil, and even has pursuit rules. It also has a section on unarmed combat. Following this we have a number of colour plates that take in the adult nature of the game. Gruesome or as sexual as they are all beautifully realised. Some of them are a bit disturbing, yet again reiterating that this game is not for the faint-hearted. It then goes into specific rules for clerics, including spellcasting, writing scrolls, creating holy water, and spell research. Everything is pretty simple and it doesn't nuance it too much. We then have a similar section on magic users, which also includes potion creation and staffs and wands, which also talks about recharging them. There are rules on libraries and laboratories, and this is followed by spell lists for both clerics and magic users. The lists have some interesting modifications. Firstly, the cleric list is missing any spells that reveal alignments, and also there are no spells that restore the dead to life. The magic user list has some equally interesting modifications. There are no what you would consider blasty spells, no fireball, lightning bolt, and almost all of the elemental damaging spells are missing. The list seems to have taken a lead from what you may consider classic magic. It is based mostly around divination, illusion, enchantment and necromancy, and the likes of wish is completely gone, but rituals are very important. Those elemental spells that remain are largely utility in nature, such as move earth, stone shape and pass wall. The spell descriptions are given a treatment that suits the setting well. Animate Dead, for example, gives corpses and skeletons power that allow them to move and act in a mockery of their former existence. They will interpret any instructions in the most destructive and violent way possible, preferring to attack those they knew in life. And Cloudkill now literally summons the smoke from the fires of hell. It's all very evocative. There are spells that I have not encountered before, such as Book Speak, which when cast and a book is touched, animates a mouth on it and the magic user can ask the book questions about its contents. Useful stuff. Now, I was reading the spell descriptions thinking to myself that the author had been clever in creating the atmosphere that the game world has, one where magic is dangerous and rare, and this continued as I was reading until that one moment. The moment I came across the spell Summon, and then my opinion changed. Summon is a spell which entails the magic user ripping a hole in reality and pulling out energy that interacts and warps our reality. The spell has 6 steps. Step 1 involves the magic user deciding what type of creature they would like to summon. The hit dice cannot be more than twice their level. Step 2 has the magic user making a saving throw versus magic. A failure means something more powerful than intended comes through. Step 3 determines the creature's form and powers. These are rolled on the tables here. Step 4 determines the number of powers it has based on its hit dice. Step 5 has a domination roll from the caster versus the entity. Step 6 are where we examine the domination roll results. This is where we see if the magic user controls the entity, is controlled by it, or if it even goes on a rampage killing anyone and anything within sight. It also gives some random results for rolls that are tied. It then moves on to the abstract forms that creatures can take, which includes such madness as the referee and player swapping roles, with the player continuing to run the game, and also the combined sum of man's apocalyptic fears streaming through the portal between worlds. You really have to read them to believe them. And then realise that this is a first level spell. After the spells, we have a glossary of terms, and this is followed by game rules on firearms, medieval armour, and some various equipment such as gunpowder barrels and artillery. Lastly, we have information on the character sheet. The dark atmosphere and gory disposition that seems evident in the pages of Lamentations of the Flame Princess will definitely not be for everyone. The rules seem bent on making life difficult for the players, which some will welcome, whereas to others it will be anathema. They have an almost ruthless simplicity about them that leaves no room for manoeuvre. The classes are interestingly done, with clerics having an almost puritanical bent and magic users sitting on a fine line between power and annihilation. Elves and dwarves are 2 sides of the same coin, with one accepting their fate and the other pretending it isn't even happening. Fighters are the only class that actually gets better at fighting, making them all the more deadlier, and the skill system is boldly simplistic. The art throughout the book is absolutely superb, with each picture telling a story that you would like to hear. This is not at all like the original D&D that Gary Gygax and Dave Arneson first put to print, even if it wears similar clothes. Lamentations of the Flame Princess is danger and temptation wrapped into one, that takes D&D roughly by the arm and leads it down a dark and brutal path. There's no coming back from death here. Magic is perilous and has effects beyond the confines of your character sheet and imagination. My only real criticism is that, at least in this book, we're not given a world to play in. Lamentations of the Flame Princess came highly recommended by many gamers that I have spoken to, and in all honesty, I was wondering what all the fuss was about, but having read the book, I completely understand the reasoning. Many feel that D&D has become too soft, too difficult to become truly threatened, and in some ways, this is addressed here. I look forward to reading more books in James Edward Raggy IV's grim microcosm of D&D. I give Lamentations of the Flame Princess a 9 out of 10. If you enjoyed this review, please make sure to hit the thumbs up, subscribe to my channel and check out my other videos. Also, if you're interested in buying this product, I'll put some links below. Lastly, if you enjoy what I produce here, then maybe think about supporting me on Patreon. Bud out.